In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to animate a ball bounce in After Effects. As you can see, I have here already a scene set up, and then I've got this small ball here in the center, the yellow one, and then this bigger ball, which looks heavier. So today I just want to show you how to animate these two ball bounce. First of all, I need to put the anchor point in the center of the ball. Just want to put it in the center like that. And then this ball here, I want to put this anchor point in the center of the ball. First of all, let's animate this small ball here. This is going to be the ground. Let's use a line to mark where the ground is so that we're not going over into the ground. Go to position property P and then right click separate dimensions. So the ball, we're only going to be animating on the Y position first for the bounce. Let's set a keyframe on the Y position. Go for 15 frames. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 frames, and drag this keyframes onto the 15 frames mark, and then go back to 0 seconds, lift this ball up. I can let it just drop from outside like that. And now what I want to do is I want the ball to maybe bounce every 10 frames, let's say. Go for 10 frames. The ball is gonna still be on the ground. So each time it's just gonna hit the ground, right? So 10 frames on the ground, 10 frames, just copy this keyframe and copy this keyframe. So I set a keyframe every 10 frames, but the ball is not moving its position because it's always hitting the ground. And then let's select all of them, keyframe assistant, easy ease, go to the graph editor. First of all, let's make sure we're in the value graph, not the speed graph, and then we're only working on the Y position. If you think about it, when the ball drops, it's going to accelerate. So this curve here, this handle here, should be something like this. So the ball from top, it's gonna go, remember steepness equals speed in the value graph. So the curve is gonna be steeper and steeper, which means the speed of the object is moving faster and faster. So that's what happens when something drops from top. It's gonna go faster, faster until it hit the ground and lose some of the energy. And remember in the previous lesson, I told you that each time it hit the ground, the angle when it hits the ground is the same angle when it leaves the ground. So what we need to do is here, we need to drag this angle here need to be same as this angle when it hits the ground. So I want to try to do something like this, same angle. So just drag this, and then it's also going to lose some of the energy. Which means each time when it hits the ground, it's going to jump lower and lower. So I just want to create a curve, something like this, and then I need more keyframes. I want to copy Command C and then go for 10 frames, Command V, add a keyframe, and just modify this curve here to make this curve more subtle, and go for 10 frames, copy it, paste another keyframes. I want to zoom in, make this curve very subtle. Although the curve is not as aggressive, it's very subtle, I still want to make sure that the angle that it's going into this point here is the same angle that it's leaving this point. So here I want to make sure the angle is right, and also the ball is losing energy. So if I fit graph to view, this is what it looks like. Now let's preview and see what happens. This ball right now, it feels a bit heavy to me. The second jump is too low, so I want to modify and just the second one. So this one here, this curve here is too different from this one here. I want to modify it and just to give it a higher peak here so that it's similar to this one, and just want to make sure it doesn't look so heavy because we have another heavy ball for the second demonstration. So I want this ball to be not so heavy. I want it to be a little bit more bouncy. Like if you want to make it very bouncy, you can make these curves so high, and then each one, you can just have it lose a little bit of the energy. So each curve is still very high. In that case, the ball is going to be super bouncy. Let's preview it again and see what happens. You see? Drop, drop, drop. I feel like the timing is a bit off. I need to just drag all the keyframes to the left so that it's the whole thing is happening much faster in 2 seconds. So there you go. This is your ball bounce curve, something similar to this one. And next one, I want to do this. I can hide the small ball and then just click on this big one, put the big one on the ground, go back to 0 second, and hit P on the keyboard. Right click, separate dimensions, add a keyframe. So I want the keyframes to be the same as in the previous small ball. I just keep duplicating. First of all, I want to go back to 0 second and then let the ball just maybe fall from above. And then when it falls, Command C, Command V, I'm just copy this Y position, maybe paste it 4 times, because I don't think it's gonna have the same number of bounces as previous ball because this one's too heavy. And then just select them all, right click, keyframe assistant, easy use, go back to the graph editor. Same thing, the ball is gonna speed up from the start and then the curve is gonna be something like this. And in this case here, by the way, if somehow your handles is joined together, like when you move one of them, the other one moves as well. Remember, this is the convert selected keyframe to auto Bezier. So once you click this one, these two handles are just going to be joined together. So you wouldn't be able to adjust them separately. In that case, it's hard to manipulate them to a curve as a bouncing curve. So all you need to do is just hold down Option on the Mac or Alt on PC, and then your mouse cursor change to a 2-line arrow, and then that's when you can just drag the other handle and break them. Another way is to just click on one of those icons here to break the handle. And right now we're just animating this heavier ball here. So I want the energy to lose super quickly. Now let's preview this. Still a bit bouncy, it's still not heavy enough. Let's take a look again. It still feels a bit bouncy to me. And another mistake that I made just now is right now you can see the timing of these keyframes are the same. However, it shouldn't take the same amount of time for it to bounce for every single bounce because the ball is losing energy. Each bounce is going to take less time to complete. So that's why I need to move these keyframes closer and closer to each other at the back end. And I still feel like the first bounce is too high. I just want to make it even lower. And then zoom in. Use Z on the keyboard to zoom in, get closer to be more precise with the curves. Let's try and see if that works. Yeah, that feels pretty heavy to me. The ball feels already very heavy. Yeah, it feels like a metal ball. So this is going to be the curve that we have for a heavy ball. And then let's go back to this small ball to adjust some of this timing at the back end because it's not going to take the same amount of time for each bounce at the back end to happen because it's already lose some of the energy, right? So I need to just grab all these keyframes at the back and then just make them closer to each other. It's going to take less and less time for the bounce to happen. So all I need to do is just bring the keyframes together. If I go to the keyframe wheel, you can see it's further apart at the beginning and then slowly they're just coming closer to each other. And let's preview this small ball here. So I feel like the first frame is too far away from the second frame, so I need to move everything closer to each other. And then I'm trying to drag this curve out. Something like that. So that the first bounce happens sooner. Yeah, something like that. So the next thing I want to do is just add a X position to this ball bounce. First, I'm going to move this to the left here, add a keyframe, and then maybe when it stops, I'm going to drag this X position. You can see all of a sudden we have all these curves. What does that look like? Do you remember this? Is this something that I drew from the previous lesson? The ball just drops. This is a perfect example of a ball bounce. Let's preview this. Look at that. So that's my first ball, and then if I have my second ball here, go to the front, I'm just gonna adjust the X position, set a keyframe there, and then go to the end, drag this all the way to the right, set a keyframe there. Let's see. Another ball bounce. Next, all we need to do is just to add a rotation. Shift R, put a rotation at the 0 second, and then maybe 16 degrees. Let's see. I need to rotate it more. I feel the ball is sliding, so I want to move back the X position. And then let's preview again. Alright, there you go. That's your ball bounce animation. You can add a rotation value to the small ball as well. It's going to be essentially the same thing as this big one. And now you can already feel the material that this ball is made of. It's pretty heavy.